Hello, hello, front row. I have been talking a lot about Twitter since yesterday afternoon because they changed some stuff, some pretty major stuff in their rules, which has been sort of like not great news for a lot of us. But I'm not talking about that right now. What I am going to talk about is someone in Front Row VIP, Perry, asked about Twitter lists because she saw me mention Twitter lists and she's like, how do you do that? So I could talk about Twitter lists all day long and am always shocked to see that not enough people use Twitter lists strategically. Honestly, even if you have zero interest in engaging on Twitter, and you don't find it to be like a really fun place to hang out, if all you did was use it to listen and use lists, and as I'm going to show you, it would be it would pay for itself, which of course it's free. The other thing I want to say is that I'm wearing really cute pants right now. And it is, normally a benefit that when we have an online business, we only have to worry about the waist up. So we could be wearing pajamas from the waist down. But what about when you have on super cute pants and you don't work with you can't walk into the office and be like, look at my pants. These are great pants. No. What am I going to do? Stand up on a stool so you can see how cute my pants are? Just trust me when I tell you that I have on the cutest pants. Okay. So I just had to say that. Let's look at some Twitter lists, and then I got to go because we have a webinar starting right here, only in the front row, in about 20 minutes with Krista Biegler, who is not just your everyday nutritionist. She is amazing. So I can't wait for you to see her do her thing. But anyway, let me just get rid of that old Larry the Twitter bird. I'll give you a sneak peek since you asked. Can you see? They're like, oh, God. Anyway, they're kind of like leather motorcycle pants. Anyway, okay, I'm very excited about my pants. Share the screen. Okay, do not look at all those icons. I just worked on a project that had a lot of screenshots, and I have to get those organized. All right, what we're going to do now is we're going to go to Twitter. And then we're going to go over to lists. Now, you're going to see I have 136 lists. And when I scroll down, you see this pink picture of me next to each list. That means that I created the list. But then when you get beyond that, you see other icons, Social Media Examiner, this person, and a bunch of other different people. And what this means is that I have subscribed to their list. Now, this is incredible. Now, I want you to think about this because these people have gone to the trouble of curating these lists, of finding the people who are relevant to these lists, and they've done all that work. So if I subscribe to the list, this one is called TV News Producers, a working Twitter list of broadcast news producers. So if I click on the list that Victor Hernandez put together, then right now I am going to see real time what those people are tweeting about. I can also click list members and see who these people are because I might want to reach out to some of these people. Another cool list to subscribe to think about there are a lot of companies that will create a list of all the people who work at that company. Okay? So, I don't know, like I'm trying to find one right now. Here. These are people, IBM, the top IBM influencers on Twitter. So these are people who work at IBM, 184 people. Here's the people who were speaking at Disrupt HR, which I don't know what that is, but at the time I probably knew. All right. Here are staff members. This was created by Entrepreneur Magazine, and this is a list of the people who work at Entrepreneur Magazine. They made this list. So let's click list members. Okay. So I'm going to find, I can pick through here. And if I've got something that I want to pitch to Entrepreneur Magazine, I mean, these are the people who I need to be talking with. And starting with a few tweets is a great way to start a conversation if you do it in the right way. But that's a whole other live stream. Okay. Now let me go back and show you a couple other features with lists. So a list can be public or private, and that means that if it's private and you add someone to a list, they never know and no one else can see it. You're seeing my private list, the ones that have these little suitcases beside them. Locks, not suitcases. Duh. All right. So you're seeing them, but if you came over here from just Twitter, you would not see those. You're just seeing them because you're behind the scenes with me right now. All right. So here's one cool way to be really strategic with your lists. So I have some of my favorite lists. This one says the best, and the description is people who are the best. So if you add someone to a list, they get a notification that you added them to the list. And not only that, they get a notification of the list that you added them to. So if I add you to the list, the best, you're going to get a notification that says Jen Lehner. Oh, by the way, Jen Lehner Digital Marketing Strategist, because look, this is a new thing at Twitter. You can now add like 52 characters. All right. So Jen Lehner Digital Marketing Strategist just added you to the list, the best. Remember, people, curiosity is king. Okay. So people click on stuff that they're curious about. So I have already created a sense of curiosity. I've made that list somewhat provocative. You're maybe going to click back and see what I'm about. And then you'll see if I've done it if I've strategized correctly. Usually I will do this with a whole game plan in mind, right? So if I'm doing this and I'm adding people to lists, then they're going to come back and see my pinned tweet and my banner and all the things they need to know, about me that I want them to know, right? Okay. Another one I have, they seem so silly, but some of my best lists are, there's incredible mompreneurs, mom bloggers, good examples. And then look what it says underneath there, almost perfect Twitter profiles. So if someone's like, what does she mean, almost perfect Twitter profiles? Well, at this time, when I made the list, they're going to click back over and they will have seen that I have a course that I was promoting, which was Bird Nerds, a Twitter course. Okay. You feel me? Brands I adore. What's another? Oh, and then okay. So that's a strategic way of doing it. I call it the tap on the shoulder technique, right? I have another one that says, charming accents. And like, if I know somebody is from like the UK or Australia, anywhere they have cool accents, there it is, charming accents. Whatever they say, it sounds good. This one, smarty pants, dazzling people I've met online. But if you get a notification that I've added you to the list, smarty pants, you might click over, right? So these have really served me well because it starts a conversation. So that's the whole point of these. Now, let me check the time. All right, 15 minutes until our webinar begins with Krista Bigler. The other thing is just from an administrative standpoint, it's really smart to use lists. So, here's one that I haven't really developed this, but it's an example I always gave to podcasters. It says podcast guests, people who I would love to interview. So if they get notified that they're a podcast guest, they're going to be like, what? I don't remember being on Jen Lehner's podcast. But when they come, what I would do if I was out strategically looking for podcast guests is I would have my pinned tweet be, I'll show you right here is when Gary Vaynerchuk was on my podcast. So, you could assume that if I went and did this and people came and they saw that I interviewed Gary Vaynerchuk, then they would be on my podcast, right? Because they can see that I got a big name on my podcast. All right. But back to the whole administrative, smart way of using lists. If you put your students, your clients, in a list, what this allows you to do is, you just click on it, right? And immediately I could see what people tweeted within the last 4 minutes, three minutes, and I could show some love to those people right away. I could just click in at any time and retweet them, comment, or at the very least, just hit favorite, right? Just click like, and they'll get a notification that you like the tweet. So it's just smart. It's a smart way to see what folks are up to, and show love like really quickly. The other thing is, and I think this is definitely an overlooked strategy, but let's see here. I want to give you a really good example. And I think what I want to do is use somebody else's list. So, okay. I want to get something really specific. All right, so there's not a lot of subscribers here, but this will give you an idea of what I'm talking about strategy-wise. Now, what happened to that list? All right, we'll just do this. Seriously Social Tools. This is a list created by Ian Anderson Gray of social tools that I guess he likes and recommends. Look at this. He's got 183 members, but he's got 213 subscribers. So what does that tell us? Okay, that tells us that these people are interested in what? Social tools. So now I am going to click on that list of subscribers, and these are people potentially, okay, I'm not saying, but let's say that this makes sense, because I'm someone who maybe has a social tool, then I would want to follow these people. Or another important point, when you add someone to a list, you don't have to follow them. So that's the other beautiful thing. So let's see here. Let me show you how you do it. I'm trying to find someone I would want to add to a list. Well, looky, I'm in there. That's awesome. Okay. Oh, that's because I'm a subscriber. That's not really awesome. Okay. I don't know. I'm just going to grab anybody. Click these three dots. Add or remove to lists. All right, so we're going to click that. And then I would add her to whatever was the appropriate list. If it was private, she'll never know. And if it's public, she'll get a notification. The beauty of private lists is that there are times you want to keep an eye on your competition, or politically anything that you might be surprised by this, but I am actually a political junkie and I love politics, but I don't want anybody to know what my politics are online. I don't want to get in arguments, and is definitely not good for business. So I don't discuss it online, but I want to see what other people that I am interested in, reporters, politicians, political movements, like I want to see what those people are saying. So I've created lists that are certain news outlets, certain reporters. I have lists that only have one person in them, so that I can just see what that one person is tweeting, because based on his tweets from day to day, I might need to go duck and cover, right? Because a bomb might be headed our way. That's not even funny, but I don't want to follow him, because I just don't want to follow any politicians. But I can click on there and just real easily see everything that person has tweeted in just a moment's notice. And I do it all day long. I'll just click into my particular list just to get the lowdown. Local list. Everybody needs to have a local list. With your favorite restaurants, your favorite museums, your law enforcement, your chamber of commerce, your local library, and that's the best place to check in and get the lowdown of what's happening in your world. I mean, and I always tell this story, and then I got to go, but I was headed downtown to take my son somewhere, and there was smoke coming up on the horizon downtown. And did I turn on the local? I couldn't even find a local FM channel if you paid me, because I always listen to satellite. So I didn't turn on the local radio, and chances are local radio wouldn't have had the news yet. But what I did do when I got to our destination was I opened up my phone and I checked. Nika just sent me a reminder that it's 8 minutes. I know. I'm getting ready to stop. But I went to my Twitter list. I clicked on the Cleveland local list, and like the second tweet down was an announcement from the fire department that said there is a fire on 55th Street. It's a building, building on 55th Street is on fire. And it was just so cool. And it really does show you that it's the freshest news on planet Earth. Love it or hate it. It's like a giant CB chant, like the old days of the maybe they still have them, truckers with the Breaker 19 CBs. But it's the whole world, and you can communicate with anyone. It's the most open network on planet Earth. So for all the bad news about Twitter, yesterday and today that I shared with you, there's still a lot to love about Twitter. Okay, webinar starting in 8 minutes. I gotta go. Bye.